you have left before you have to recast. So very, very handy, I think. And that just about exhausts the add-ons we have here in the list. So now I have to work from memory to try and remember all the other stuff I have. The main one being grid. This is grid. These are the grid settings. Grid itself is here. This is grid. There are only 2 people in this group, myself and Danny, so you can only see 2, but were there 5, we'd get number 3, number 4, number 5. They basically replace the party frames. This worked in a raid, so you set it up to appear however you want, so number 6 would be here, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it works for any size raid. You just have to take into account the number of people. I have assumed that we're not going to be getting into anything above a 10-man raid, therefore mine's set up for a maximum of 10 people. Lots and lots of options again. This one, I would say, in some ways, it is a little bit on the complicated side, but once you've set up a couple of options on it, you'll get the hang of it. Me personally, with my healer that I have here, I could not heal without grid. I just simply couldn't do it. As a druid healer, I rely on heal over time spells, and keeping track of who has what hot and how long that hot has left is difficult. It takes a lot of concentration, so this, I think, makes it easier. The way grid works normally is that each corner of these little boxes has a small indicator that can appear according to the settings you put in here. It could be a indicator. It's basically, the indicator is a small box. It can be whatever size you want, it can be whatever colour you want, and can signify effectively whatever you want. It could signify a heal over time, it could signify a buff or a debuff, or it could be a health warning. There are many, many different things you can set it to. I use an additional add-on with grid, which is my hots, and corner status text, I believe it's called, which turns the box into a number, which is basically a timer. Once it reaches 0, I know my heal over time will have run out. So I'm just going to display a couple of those for you now as an example. So if I was to cast Life Bloom on myself, I would see a number appear in the top left of my box here. If I was to cast Rejuvenation, I would see it in the top right here, Regrowth in the bottom right, and Wild Growth in the bottom left, and that covers all of my hots with the exception of Tranquility, which is a channeled spell, so it only lasts for as long as I'm channeling it, which means I really don't need to track it in grid. So what I'll do is I'll cast Life Bloom, remember top left. So 1 means I have 1 stack, and the number there is the countdown. When it gets down to the final 3 seconds, it turns red as a warning for me to refresh it, and as I keep casting it, I can go up to 3 stacks with this particular spell. Now I'll cast a Rejuvenation, gives me 13 seconds. A Regrowth will appear here, there we go, and a Wild Growth will appear here. So, because I know where the spells appear, and it shows me a countdown, I know how long I've got left on the spell. So, without that, I'm not entirely sure how I would heal as a druid healer. You can also display a number of other things, one thing being, right in the centre here, you can have a debuff icon appear. It makes it very, very obvious you have a debuff, and by using mouse over macros as I do with all of my keybound spells, you can very, very quickly cleanse them if you have a spell that is able to cleanse that particular debuff. Other things that grid can show are if somebody is out of range. The default setting for that is that the player's frame goes transparent. and it can also show who has aggro, and I think the default for that is a red box around the frame. I have changed that so I get a red box when I'm out of range of a player. I don't really need to track aggro that much as a healer, so if I move away from this particular character now, it should show a red box around here. So let's test that out. There we go. I am now out of range. If I try to cast a heal, out of range. Hopefully, as I get in range, there we go. And it works. Excellent. As I say, you can show many things. You have 2 lines of text available. There is another add-on to add a 3rd line if it's useful to you. I like to just keep the name, and the 2nd line is for heals or damage. So it'll show a negative number in red for damage, and it will show a positive number in green for a heal. So there you go, a plus 20k heal is estimated. What I will do is show you the visual heal, as I call it, as I believe Stuff used to call their visual heal module, by intentionally damaging myself for the good of one and all. You can see that my health has dropped significantly, and now if I cast a heal, you will see it do a semi-transparent health bar to show you an estimate of what that heal will do. And voila. And again. And again. So you can very easily see what your heal is going to do to that 200,000 health pool the tank has, which usually isn't a lot. Mana bar, you sort of take it for granted, but that is actually an additional add-on to go with grid. So if you are going to use grid, you will need to get the grid mana bar additional add-on. As I say, too much to go into for grid for a small guide like this. So moving on, the final thing I want to show you is Fort Exorcist, which is this bar here. Basically, these numbers are 1 second, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 2 minutes, and 3 minutes. 3 minutes being the longest spell I want to track for cooldown. When you cast a spell that has a cooldown, it will appear here as a small icon, and it will slowly move its way to the left. Once it hits the left, it will bloom across the screen, making itself slightly bigger to let you know it's now off cooldown and you can use the spell. As you can see, I don't have any obvious action bars. I have this one here, which is all the spells. I don't have keybound. All of my main healing spells are keybound. I know what the binds are, so I don't need to see the buttons, and I just need this to track how long I've got left for that spell. I find it much easier to use and allows for close cutting on casting your spells compared to the usual sort of pie timer that the Blizzard buttons have. So I will show you an example of these cooldowns by activating one on myself. It will now cast Swift Mend, which I believe has a 10-second cooldown, so it should appear here, and it will then move its way to the left. I was wrong, it's 15-second cooldown. But off it goes, moving its way to the left. It's got a little timer on it, as well as the visual sense of where it is on the bar. You'll see as it moves over here, it will get faster and faster because this only represents 1 second. You can have multiple spells showing on there. You can, for example, if I cast Tranquility, which has a 3-minute cooldown, it appears here. Very nice. And then if I then use my Swift Mend again, it will appear here. Now, you may think sometimes that this bar would get very full of your cooldowns, and that would be true, but it does something very nice. If you have two spells very, very close together. As they worm their way along to the side, they effectively switch places at the front. So this one will move to the back, and it happens about every half second or so. It's quite quick, so you really can see which spells they are. It's like shuffling a deck of cards. They rotate around each other, which looks very nice. And I think that is just about it for this guide. So, lots of add-ons, lots of useful add-ons. Hopefully you've found this useful and would like to give 1 or 10 of these add-ons a try. If you would like more information on any of them, or another guide, a more in-depth guide, let me know, and I will try to put something together. I think the main ones that would need a bigger guide would be Power Auras, Grid, and Stuff, off the top of my head. They are very, very in-depth and very, very useful add-ons. But for now, I will call it a day and spend the next several hours re-encoding this one. So I will see you later. Bye bye.